Warrior Cats has a lot going on behind the scenes that we just never know about because the creative team is generally very secretive when it comes to their process and script ideas. And I would be too. The Warrior Cats fandom is a very passionate crowd, and there would be endless begging for script ideas to be brought back if they ever made them public. But some development happenings, while we don't know exactly what they are, we occasionally suspect that something is going on. From weird twists and turns in the plot to outright mistakes in certain chapters. When presented with it, you can't help but wonder if it means anything. So here are 4 of my personal theories about some behind the scenes in Warrior Cats. I want to preface this by saying absolutely zero of what I say should be taken as fact. Please do not spread misinformation regarding any of my theories. These are for the most part aimless speculation meant only for entertainment. You can believe them, you cannot believe them, just don't call them real. Do not call them confirmed. Theory 1. Dawn of the Clans was originally planned to have a sequel story arc. This one I actually have a memory attached to. Sometime around the announcement of A Vision of Shadows, I remember reading this post that said one of the errands confirmed that a second Dawn of the Clans arc was planned, but was cancelled due to poor sales of Dawn of the Clans and better sales of Bramblestar's Storm. But nowadays, despite me assuming this was true at the time, I can't find any evidence this was ever said. So what I'm assuming is that I just read someone speculating and misremembered. Though, even though no such statement was ever said, I still believe part of it. I do believe the original intention was to run Dawn of the Clans for at least 2 arcs. The Last Hope, especially with killing Firestar, really felt like it was supposed to be a conclusion of sorts. And I think the intention of Dawn of the Clans was to act as a reboot. In theory, it could have been a good idea. It removed the barrier of entry that grew taller with each arc release. Now new fans could jump right in without having to read 4 entire arcs to get there. I think the way Dawn of the Clans is paced with the leaders not getting their leader names until the very end, it feels like they were setting up a bigger story. The next arc could have been Dawn of the Code. It might retcon Code of the Clans, but lots of Field Guide stuff gets retconned. But the biggest evidence I can think of that points to an abandoned Dawn of the Clans 2 is Mothflight's vision. At the end of Dawn of the Clans, a young cat called Mothflight was given a little of the Shadowsight treatment, being teased as a future protagonist. But what we ended up getting with her is a terribly paced Super Edition. She gets pregnant very young for no reason other than the fact that they want to create the Medicine Cats Can't Have Kits rule by the end of the Super Edition. It feels incredibly clumsy in the execution, but it would not have been nearly as messy had an entire arc been dedicated to it, which very well could have been the original plan. Back to the original wording of the theory, there is one thing I want to disagree with. The decision to abandon the second Dawn of the Clan arc probably came before Bramblestar's Storm was published. Bramblestar's Storm has a bonus comic at the end that teases A Vision of Shadows by confirming that Squirrelfight is pregnant with kits. I think A Vision of Shadows had to have been planned in some capacity for this to exist. So I think it goes like this. Dawn of the Clans 2 was planned, the first couple Dawn of the Clans books sold poorly, the decision is made to switch to A Vision of Shadows instead, Bramblestar's Storm was going to come out anyway, and the sales for it confirmed they were right to move back to the modern characters, full steam ahead on A Vision of Shadows. While the remaining ideas for Dawn of the Clans were eventually reworked into Mothflight's Vision, Thunderstar's Echo, and Shadowstar's Life. Theory 2. A Vision of Shadows could have been a 3-book arc. A Vision of Shadows has an entire conflict surrounding Darktale that is 100% wrapped up by the end of Book 3, leaving 3 more books in the arc for them to just kind of be confused. I think this is because Dawn of the Clans, the previous arc, sold so poorly that they were just being extra careful with this one. Rather than commit to write out 6 books on a ship that could start sinking, they decided on a failsafe. If no one buys the books, they can pull the plug at Book 3. But people did buy the books, and Warrior Cats became so much more popular than it ever was during the Dawn of the Clans years. So books 4, 5, and 6 continue normally, though perhaps a little rushed as the plot for them is significantly less coherent than the first 3. And this 3-book arc idea actually was used in the future, for a different Aaron Hunter book series. Brave Lands Arc 2 was only 3 books long, jumping straight to Arc 3 for the 10th book of the franchise. Perhaps this was a similar situation. For whatever reason, Brave Lands Arc 2 wasn't working out for them, and they wanted to pivot to a new idea. I think the same thing would have happened to A Vision of Shadows had the arc been a failure. Theory 3. Leopard Star's Honor is the most rushed book in all of Warrior Cats. There was a Super Edition poll in March of 2020 for which cat would get a Super Edition in 2021. I wonder what else happened in March of 2020. Yeah, I think the lockdown orders and work from home made for a very troubled production of that book. They certainly didn't write 3 entire Super Editions prior to making that poll, so that means the entirety of Leopard Star's Honor, from planning to writing to editing, was done with the least convenient economic conditions for any single Warrior Cats book. And only 17 months to go from this planning stage to being on shelves. For comparison, the next Super Edition poll winner, River Star, would have 22 months, and a significantly more stable time period. Work from home may sound like it wouldn't affect authors that much, but you have to keep in mind that Warrior Cats is written by a team, and 2020 still had its difficulties regardless of your profession. And to throw something out on top of all this, the book was written by Kate Cary. Clarissa Hutton is known to be one of Kate Cary's editors, and it just so happens Clarissa was also working on novellas Blackfoot's Reckoning and Spotfur's Rebellion at this time. So did Kate Cary not have as much editing help as she normally does? Possibly. Again, just to clarify, these are in nature theories. Do not take any of this random speculation as fact. The only thing we can be certain about is that Leopard Star's Honor shipped with mistakes. So many mistakes. Now, of course, every Warrior Cats book has small mistakes, especially prequels, as they have a lot of different timelines going on to match up with. But Leopard Star's Honor is another level. The allegiances is completely broken. White Storm being both a kit and a warrior, while Patchpelt is also cloned. Chapters 29 and 31 had some crazy sequence-breaking events that I covered in a YouTube short, link in the description. But to summarize, Chapter 29 had Boulder and Jaggedtooth hanging around in RiverClan despite them not arriving until Chapter 31, and Chapter 31 talked about Featherkit and Stormkit having their apprentice ceremony coming up, despite it having already happened in Chapter 29. And those are just a couple of the errors in the book. There are 52 mistakes in this book! More than any other Super Edition, with the closest being Yellowfang's Secret at 37. Huge credits to the Warrior Cats wiki for compiling all these mistakes so I can count them. So even if we completely disregard the circumstances, there are clear signs of this book having less proofreading than any other Super Edition released. Though considering the circumstances, I am not mad at Warrior Cats. It was a rough time for all of us. Theory 4. Fan backlash changed the light in the mist. It's no secret that I hate the conclusion to the Broken Code arc, and my biggest reason for doing so is the complete inconsistency with the plot threads of the 5 books coming before it, but hating the book is not what I'm here to talk about. I'm just thinking there are 2 major plot events in the book that probably were not in the original draft. 1. Bramblestar and Squirrelflight definitely were supposed to fight Ashfur. The whole point of the arc was Ashfur, and they are the 2 most relevant cats who completely stepped out of the plot with very flimsy reasoning. I think they saw that Bramblestar was getting a lot of hate online for his abusive behaviors towards Squirrelflight, and decided that an epic conclusion with the 2 cats coming together in their romance to take down Ashfur wasn't in their best interest. The line Squirrelflight feeds to Greystripe in this book was probably something she was supposed to say to Ashfur directly, but the writers thought having that gotcha moment on Ashfur, that he never deserved Squirrelflight, would be kind of awkward for the Bramblestar hating readers, because the cat she actually got with also didn't deserve her. And I think what further supports this is Bramblestar completely stepping down from being leader in the Astarless clan arc. I think Warrior Cats is cleaning their paws of an unfavorable character. But back to Light in the Mist. 2. Bristlefrost was originally going to live. The book makes such a big deal about Greystripe dying that I think the original intention was for Greystripe's death to be the big dramatic sad sacrifice. But around the time Greystripe's vow was announced, fans were absolutely clowning on Greystripe and joking about his time being up. Not that we hate Greystripe, just that he's such an old character and our attention is elsewhere. I think the Warrior Cats team saw this and brought to their board meeting that they needed something that would create a more emotional ending. And that's when killing the young protagonist Bristlefrost was proposed. And without a doubt, they were right about her death being more impactful on the reader. And one more little detail to support my theory. Book 5, The Place of No Stars, clearly shows Rootspring being able to swim in the dark water because of his love for Bristlefrost. It seemed like they were setting up for Rootspring saving her, but in the end, I guess they preferred the sad ending. So those were my 4 theories. Might do more later if I ever feel like I have a lot of them. Remember, again, these are just theories. Please do not spread them as fact. Alright, bye everyone!